God damn it, Corlys, will you please just tell your son? Please. Just tell your son. It's going to save everyone the fucking headache. It's going to save your son the headache. It's going to save your other son the headache. It's going to save Rhaenyra a headache. It's going to save everyone a headache. Here, Corlys, please tell your fucking sons. So episode 7 of House of the Dragon is here, and this episode primarily focused on Rhaenyra and the dragon seeds. And I haven't watched any clips about it or nothing like this because I literally just watched it like an hour ago. I think people are going to really enjoy this episode a lot more than they have been, solely because there's a lot more focus on the dragons. No, there's no battles. No, there's no big fighting or anything like that, but there are dragons, tons of dragons. You get to see Sea Smoke. You get to see Vermithor. You get to see Silverwing. You get to see Syrax. You do get to see Vhagar, which I mean, we're kind of used to seeing Vhagar anyway. But you get to see some of the newer dragons. You get to see, well, mostly Vermithor and Silverwing are like the big focal point really in terms of the dragon stuff. But anyway, but yes, this episode solely focused on Rhaenyra trying to bring the dragon seeds to her to find riders for the remaining dragons that she has. Because in the opening shot, we see her and Syrax confronting Adam and Sea Smoke. And she's like, why? How did this happen? What kind of says? And he's like, this dragon just kind of came to me, right? I didn't go to him. He came to me. And so, so she's like, oh, fantastic. You kneel before me. You kneeled kind of quickly. And he's like, yeah, I kneel for you because again, I didn't seek this out and I want to be able to do the right. So anyway, Adam Hole joins her. They go back to Dragonstone. Her people are mad. They're like, how dare you bring this commoner to join a dragon? And it's going to turn against it. Even her son's like, you go down this path of finding these, and he even points out that he's like, it was Mysarea's idea, wasn't it? It was Mysarea's idea. This wasn't even your idea. This was Mysarea's idea. And he's not wrong. It was her idea. But I remember in the last episode that it was like, he brought it up. Like he was also kind of talking about it with her, like, does, we, the Targaryens, have a long history and, maybe there's some Targaryen blood still out there. Like he even hinted at it basically with the bastards of the Targaryens in the last episode. So him being upset about it, I feel, okay, maybe I'm just confused about that. Why is Jace bothered by the fact that his mother, that Rhaenyra wants to actually try to get more dragon seeds to ride dragons? Is it because they're the lowborns, like he expected royalty to be a part of it? Or is it now that he feels like, oh god, now that it came to fruition, I don't want it to happen? Like, because all this definitely seems to stem from the fact that Adam claims Sea Smoke, and since Corlys will not say anything, Corlys, you're really pissing me off here, buddy. I've enjoyed you all season. You're really starting to get on my nerves with this crap. You have zero, and I do mean zero, reason to no longer tell your kids that they are yours. They know. Your wife figured it out. No one's got to... Corlys, you need to tell. But anyway, is that why Jace is mad? That since Adam is viewed as a commoner and the dragons just chose a commoner, that now they're just going to choose commoners and there's no regality to it? Like, is that why Jace is mad? Because again, Jace was pretty cool with the idea of like Targaryen mixed blood children claiming dragons. So like, is that what he doesn't like the idea of bastards? But I mean, he's a bastard because, see what I mean? Like, Game of Thrones fans, book readers, why does Jace upset in this? Because I feel like I don't quite understand his reason for being upset. Is it solely because they're commoners, or is it because they'd be viewed more so as bastards? But he's a bastard, so I feel like Jace would feel more inclined that other bastards could claim dragons, other Targaryen bastards could claim the children. So I feel like I'm kind of confused as to why Jace is mad. I really, really do. I completely don't understand why Jace is mad about this. Again, maybe it's better explained in the book, because I feel like maybe I just missed it in the show. But is it because they're not royal born of any way, or is it because they're commoners, or is it because they're bastards? Because if they're bastards, I fundamentally do not understand why Jace would be mad about that. He is a bastard. He's not stupid. He even asks his mom, did you know that I would look like Harwin Strong when you took him to bed? Like all of this, like, did you think I might look like him, or did you kind of anticipate that? Which is another thing I want to ask real fast, because I think about the Targaryen look is that, that platinum white hair. But not all Targaryen children have white hair. Obviously, the ones that breed with Targaryens and Targaryens, white hair. But those that are mixed blood, not all of them have white hair. But some of them do have white hair. I don't understand. Like, I'm kind of confused about this, because all of Viserys and Alicent's kids have white hair. Well, they haven't showed Daeron, but I'm guessing he's got white hair too. But Alicent has red hair. Viserys has the Targaryen hair. So my first thought was, okay, maybe it's the male aspect of it. The Targaryen male is what helps produce the white hair. And since Rhaenyra is the female, that's why her kids came out with dark hair. But then you have characters like Hugh Hammer, who he said his mother basically had the silver hair. And that he always said, and he's telling his wife that, like, my mother would always tell me, you're just as important, just as special as my brother's kids, who ended up being Daemon and Viserys. Okay, so how does the white hair work? Like, is it really just a random feature that can happen? Is it really just random? Like, it doesn't matter if it's a male Targaryen or a female Targaryen. The only way to have white hair guaranteed is that they have either a white-haired Valyrian or a white-haired Targaryen. Is that like the only way you can guarantee that? Because if it doesn't matter who the Targaryen is, you either get the white hair or you don't get the white hair. I think that's where, again, that part kind of confuses me too, because Hugh Hammer has the white Targaryen hair, but clearly, and his mom was clearly the Targaryen in that situation, and I know nothing about his mother, but I'm assuming his mother was probably highborn that kind of got pushed away, like one of those kids that's like, too far down the line, doesn't matter, of course she's female and all. Or like, was his mother also a bastard? Like, is that the case? Like, is Hugh Hammer's mom the bastard as well? She just happens to inherit the white Targaryen hair, which again, that also makes me wonder, okay, well, if his mother is a Targaryen bastard, but she has the white hair, and then he would also be a Targaryen bastard, because, like I'm saying, like, how does that produce the white hair? And the reason I ask this is because that was the big selling point for the argument that their children are bastards, that Rhaenyra's two oldest were bastards, because they have clearly the dark hair and not the Targaryen hair, because her husband Rhaenor had white hair and she had the white hair. So obviously their kids should have had white hair. Now, I've heard in the books, obviously, that Rhaenor is obviously not a black man. I think that's what I've heard in the books. Like, in the books, he's not a black man. So people have less of an issue trying to, like, people aren't as like, ha ha ha, look, definitely not Rhaenor's kids, because they could possibly be the kid. Like, the only thing they're really making this case for is, like, I guess the hair in the books, because it's not the skin color. Because I kind of have to agree with this, in the sense of, if you look at it from the show, Rhaenor being a mixed black man, because obviously Corlys and his mom, and then he's having babies with Rhaenyra, they're probably, I'm not saying it's guaranteed, please, so do not come at me. I know genetics play a crazy factor, but you would assume, since the way the Targaryen blood seems to be very potent in a lot of cases, yeah, it would make sense that Rhaenyra and Rhaenor's kids would be kind of darker complected with white hair. So if the babies were coming out with a darker complexion, just not white hair, I can see people kind of making this like, they're saying, well, they're bastards, but at the same time, it's like, but there's also that plausibility they could be. And isn't that the argument from the books? Like, people are claiming they're bastards, or like Alice and them are claiming they're bastards, but it's hard to really say outright, because there's certain features and characteristics that people be like, no, it's definitely from Rhaenor. Like, that's definitely a Rhaenor trait. And it's only really the hair. Now, in the sense, like, again, unless George R. R. Martin was like very stickler, like, no, these people have to look a certain way. And again, he's the author. He has the right to say that for these kinds of shows. Isn't what, like, I don't really mind that Corlys looks the way he does. I don't mind that his children look the way they do. But if the story plot was that Jace and Lucerys were bastards, but people were like, it might also be Rhaenor's, wouldn't it make more sense to either have children? Wouldn't it make more sense from a storytelling perspective in that to be like, hey, these children do kind of look like Rhaenyra minus the hair a little bit. Like, wouldn't it make more sense that Herwin Strong would have been more of a black man to make their kids seem like they're plausibly more like Rhaenyra, and it's just the hair that's kind of throwing them off? I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking too much into it, but maybe I'm thinking too much into it. You know, honestly, maybe I am just thinking too much into it. But again, I don't know. Anyway, again, the whole episode really revolves around this. So I'll get to the ending with this real fast. I ran off on a tangent. I'm so sorry. We have a little bit with Daemon over at Harrenhal. He is talking with the young Tully boy that's now taking up the mantle, you know, and the young Tully's like, just telling him like, I thought you didn't want my cancel type of thing. And he's like, well, before you really didn't have any authority and now you do. So I've, you know, obviously changed my mind. So the Tully is like, okay, I'll help you figure out the River Lords. This scene with the young boy, fantastic acting, by the way. I mean, he really stepped into this role of like, I have this aura, I have this presence, I'm now the ruling head of these lands. You other guys will listen to me, because like they do kind of call him out and be all like, you know, you're younger than my sons. Why should I listen to you? And he's like, traditions, bro. I'm gonna stand my ground. And he calls out the Blackwood, and he was like, yes, you did indeed do what Lord Daemon kind of insisted, but Lord Daemon didn't tell you to do what you did exactly, and you went to like extreme measures on this, which that's what's going to turn against that, and that's a no-go. And he's calling out the Blackwood guy for that. And then he literally calls out Daemon. Is like, if Daemon wants to prove to the lords, to the people of this land, and he wants to reconcile his problems and make better with the lords, punishment must be put down. Punishment must be enacted. And it zooms in on Daemon. He's definitely thinking about it. The Blackwood scream. He's like, no, no, no. And Daemon takes action and puts him down. We don't see it, but we know it actually. Well, okay, let me first say. We see it, but we don't see it from like an outer perspective. We see it focused in on Daemon, and as he comes down with it. So he definitely killed the Blackwood guy. So I think moving forward, the lords are not going to be more swayed towards his favor, because the young Tully Master was like, yeah, this was the right route. And now they're like, oh, so he took responsibility for what happened. He took responsibility for the black guy doing the Blackwood. God, Jesus. Blackwood character. So I think we're going to start seeing something finally moving from that direction, but it seems like we're not leaving Harrenhal, at least with Daemon, for the rest of this season. And we have the final shot. We have the conversation with him and Viserys. He walks into the room, sees Viserys sitting on the bed. Quick, no. When he came around this thing right here with the goat, I legit was like, what? My brain didn't process goat for a second. It really didn't. I was like, what is that? And I was like, oh, it's a goat. Okay. I don't know why my brain was like, what is that? I thought it was like a weird gremlin thing that he was seeing. And I was like, oh, it's a goat. Anyway, as he comes in the chamber and he sees Viserys sitting on the bed. This is the haggard, beaten, disease-ridden Viserys. And basically Viserys tells me, he goes, I didn't want it. The weight of the crown weighs on you. It's a lot to bear. Do you want it? And it ends with Daemon kind of like looking off at it and everything. And I know they didn't want to have Daemon tell it in this moment, but this was definitely that moment of him making the realization of, oh my God, no, I don't want it. I think that's the direction they're trying to, again, they're pushing Daemon to this. I think that's what the scene was trying to tell him. And I think moving forward, we'll have the Daemon that people talk about from the books, the Daemon that supports Rhaenyra, that's behind Rhaenyra. This is fine. I think they're finally getting to the point to where Daemon is no longer focused on getting the crown itself. I think he's finally accepted it. He's like, I don't want the crown, which I guess in his eyes would make him more fit for the crown. But I think we finally are fucking getting somewhere with the Daemon stuff. It just took them way too long with the Daemon stuff. This stuff with Daemon and Harrenhal, maybe it should have been like an episode of him kind of losing it, and then like 2 episodes with him dealing with the stuff with Viserys. This stuff should not have lasted all season. But I think we're finally about to be finished with the hallucinogens and all that stuff over there. Anyway, so we get back to Dragonstone. Rhaenyra's gathered up all of the bastards from, all the Targaryen bastards from King's Landing. They've gotten to Dragonstone. She tells them like, hey, we're going to confront the dragons. The dragon keepers, they get mad about this. They're like, they're not dragon lords, blah, blah, blah. Again, is the whole thing because they're not royal, or is it because they truly believe none of them have Targaryen or Velaryon blood. She tells him, hey, this is a big ordeal, but I want to do the right thing by y'all. And I think, with the dragons, we can help all this. Just know that claiming a dragon is not an easy task. You will probably die. You might die. And you need to be prepared with that. And some of you may be completely okay with that given the life you live right now. So she takes him in, and she calls Vermithor. She has this moment with Vermithor, and I'm going to make that I am absolutely making either that shot with her and Vermithor or the shot of the end of the episode the thumbnail, one of them. But anyway, she has a moment with Vermithor. She, she calls him out. They have this moment, and Vermithor is like, he relaxes. She speaks to him. He's calm. And again, is it because she's technically his writer's grandchild? Like he can smell the Jaehaerys blood? Like, is that what it is? Probably. Whatever. I'm just going with that. Maybe that's why he was cool with her, and that's probably why he's cool with Jaehaerys because of maybe that's why Vermithor ends up choosing Hugh Hammer, because he maybe smells the Jaehaerys blood anyway. They have that scene. She's like, okay, I've done enough. Who comes forward? I've said all I can do. It's up to the dragon now. She walks off. She walks to the landing above them, and she's watching them. And Vermithor, nah, he doesn't. He starts going off. He starts burning people. He doesn't even care. Some of the knights get burned. He eats some of them. Hugh Hammer and all them take off running. And we have this shot where Hugh Hammer and this saves this other girl from almost getting burned, and then they turn around, they try to leave, and Vermithor turns around, like swing, and I kind of missed what happened, but anyway, Vermithor locks on to the woman that Hugh Hammer saved, right? And he's about to go off, he's about to burn her. Hugh Hammer's like, no, look at me, because there's this shot before all this went down where Vermithor like goes over the crowd and then makes his way back. He looks down and he looks at, he's like straight up, he locks eyes with Hugh Hammer. So I thought maybe the Hugh Hammer was going to step up at this point, but all right. But Hugh Hammer took that moment because he also realizes it too. He calls to Vermithor. Vermithor looks at him. The other girl escapes, and they never have that connection. They have that communication, that merging of the consciousness, basically. And Vermithor shows that he chooses Hugh Hammer. Rhaenyra's like, yes, we've got it, because Vermithor is the second biggest dragon. Then we have a shot with Ulf running away. He ends up finding his way further down in the pit, cracks this thing of eggs right here. He woke up, apparently, Silverwing. He thinks he's going to die. Silverwing basically shows him, like, no, we're cool. Like, she chose him. It is a girl, right? Silverwing chooses him. Again, showcasing that it's truly the dragon in the end that chooses its rider. Like, it doesn't matter if you're truly a Targaryen or a Velaryon. I mean, you obviously have to have the blood. Like, obviously you have to have the old world blood. You can't just randomly, right? Isn't like that's the point? Game of Thrones fans, please let me know. Isn't that the point? Like, you have to have the blood at least. Doesn't matter which blood. You just have to have the old world blood. Because I know the whole thing with Nettles from the books is like she's not an old world. She doesn't have old world blood. I don't know. Anyway, the dragons have chosen, and we have one of the final shots is that we're in the council room. They're talking to Aemon. People hear dragon. He goes out to see, sees that a dragon's flying over. He takes off to get Vhagar. Vhagar and him chase the dragon, which was Silverwing and Ulf flying over. Chase it back to Dragonstone. And Aemon actually realizes at this point, Vhagar's clearly like, nah, bro, let's go. We throwing down. Let's go. And Aemon's like, no. He's telling her, no, or hell no. We're getting back. He's pulling on her to pull away. And the ending shot is Silverwing coming around, landing on the castle at Dragonstone. You see Vermithor with Hugh Hammer standing on the edge, and you see Rhaenyra and Syrax come up, and the dragons are roaring off, basically telling Aemon, yeah, Aemon and Vhagar, this is our island. Shit's about to get crazy. So that's how the episode goes. Again, mostly a Rhaenyra-centric focused episode. I thought it was great. Again, another solid 7.5. I'm gonna say 8 on this, solely because there were more dragons. I don't think the show needs to focus on the dragons. I've defended on this that the show is still great even when not focusing on dragons, but I'll give it that extra, still great. I'm not going to put it 9 out of 10. For me, 9s out of 10s, I don't know. There might be like 1 or 2 movies and shows out there truly ever getting a 9 out of 10 for me, or 10 out of 10. But again, this show's basically, this episode was another 8 out of 10. Great episode. We got to see more of the dragons, got to see a little bit of like the dragons really interacting, which is, I know what a lot of people wanted to see. They wanted to see more interactions with the dragons, so we got that. We didn't focus too much on stuff that's not important. We had just enough stuff with Daemon and Harrenhal, and I hope we're moving past that. At least with the Vision stuff, I get he's trying to form that army, but enough of the Vision stuff, enough of that stuff with all the voodoo, Scooby-Doo stuff at Harrenhal. Let's move forward. We got the dragons going on. Rhaenyra's gotten 2 of her dragons. I'm telling you, if the season ends with, if next week is the last episode, the season is ending with the setup of the dragons themselves about to go to war. That's how I see the season ending. The riders are in place. The dragons are coming around. Season 2 is going to end with the full-on war about to officially start, because now the dragonseeds have mounted the dragons. And the full encompass of the war will be in season 3. I'm already seeing it. I don't see it really starting in next week's at all, but hey, they may like partially start it next week and go into season 3 with it. But I think they should just get it up to the moment of everything happening in season 2 with that, because this season 2 was clearly about the dragon seeds. In the end, again, great episode. Got to see the dragons. Look forward to seeing more stuff with the dragons. Give me more deep lore. Let's do this. Great. Oh, and fuck Kristen Cole.